We here at Cincinnati Fan Talk send our condolences and prayers out to the 9 people that lost their lives in a tragic accident last Sunday. We pray that Kobe Bryant, his daughter, and the many other people that lost their lives in that tragic accident rest in peace. Check it out, check it out. Welcome to another episode of Cincinnati Fan Talk. This LP riding with you on a Saturday evening, checking out a lot of Cincinnati hoop. So we're going to go ahead and get into that in a second. As always, check us out on the socials, basically on Twitter. That's Cincy_Fan Talk. Again, that's Cincy_Fan Talk. We got a link now that you can go ahead and check out, that you can leave voice messages to. You can go ahead and check us out on there. Leave a voice message. Let us know how you feel about the program. Anything you want to talk about, you can go ahead and drop on there. You can also go ahead and tweet us as well. So definitely check that out whenever you get a chance. And thanks for supporting the podcast. We definitely appreciate it. Numbers going up slightly, but really, all in all, it's really about getting the Cincinnati brand out there. Letting you know about Muskie's hoops, Cincy hoops, Bengals, Reds, stuff like that. So just kind of putting that out there. Honestly, this is one of the first times in a while I've been really, really excited about the state of our programs, the state of baseball, the state of football right now. Really excited about all the stuff that's going on in Cincinnati. I mean, if you're on the outside looking in, you kind of going like, what you excited about the Bengals for? I mean, I can only give you 2 words for that. That would be Joe Burrow. I mean, how could you not be excited about what you saw from Joe Burrow from this entire season, this entire football season? And one would be crazy to not be a little bit pumped up about what we could possibly get from a franchise quarterback. So, I mean, we definitely excited here in Cincinnati about it. And the main thing is, what I think, and this is just me personally, I'm having a hard time doing this myself, but this is just something that I feel like we all need to do as Cincinnatians, because we want to see a winner, especially in football. We really want to see a winner. We want somebody to break that playoff streak ASAP, So I would say the main thing we need to do is kind of temper expectations. And that's really going to be hard to do at first when you got somebody who you think can be as good as Joe Burrow could be for the Cincinnati Bengals. But I feel like we got to temper those expectations. I can kind of take it back to 2000 and I think it was 2004, 2005. Yeah, it was about that time when Carson Palmer hit the scene. He didn't really start at first. They still gave John Kitna the shot. But even though Kitna had started and he pretty much played the entire season, the Bengals had a better team. But we had Carson Palmer waiting in the wings, so everybody really stayed pumped up for the entire year because we kind of saw that changing of the guard. We saw that coming. We saw Carson sitting there waiting for a shot, but we also saw John Kitna making his team better. They had a new coach and Marvin Lewis, and you can just see everything starting to turn around a little bit. That's what I really want to see here for the Bengals, even more than wins and losses. I mean, I definitely want to see more wins than losses. I mean, who wouldn't? Especially when you kind of get used to going to the playoffs, not winning in the playoffs, but you kind of get used to going to the playoffs on a regular basis, and you want that feeling back. But more than anything, what we want to see as Bengals fans is just something to get us excited about the game, excited about the brand, excited about the Bengals. Something more than just, a catchy phrase like, it's a new day and stuff like that. Because they got us saying like someday right now because we don't know what's going on. So right now, what we're really looking for from the Bengals is something to, make us look forward to what could be. After you go 2-14, as a fan, you really want that. You really want to know that it's going to get better. Them drafting Joe Burrow is a start. But you also got to watch this draft to see what happens after they get Joe Burrow. Because we've had this conversation before on Cincy Fan Talk. The Bengals are not a team that's going to while you're in free agency. That's not what they do. They're not a team that's going to go out here and get trades. That's not what they do. So the only real way for the Bengals to get consistently better as a team is through the draft. So we really can't miss on draft picks as Bengals more so than other teams. You know, you got a team like the Redskins, you know, you got teams like those. They can miss out on a couple of draft picks. You know, they can miss a few because they're going to upgrade in free agency. You know, they're going to make trades. They're going to wheel and deal. They're going to do what they got to do. But that's not what the Bengals do. So what they have to do is they have to get some really solid picks because pick number 1, that should be a lock. We should be getting Joe Burrow in here. Don't know if he's going to start immediately, but we're going to ride with him for the next couple of years. We're going to go through those ups and downs. So who's coming in at linebacker? Are we going to get any wide receiver depth? Are we going to get some offensive line help? Are we going to help out the secondary? I mean, there's a lot of different places that could use the help. And as Bengals fans, we know that their help has to come through the draft. So definitely watch what happens in rounds 2 through, I would say, 2 through 5. Because if you've been watching the Bengals for as long as I have, you know they've gotten some really good draft picks in rounds 3, rounds 4, round 5. I mean, I think Husmanzada, back in the day, I think he was a 6th or 7th round draft pick. You know, Vontaze Burfict, he was an undrafted free agent. Marvin Jones, he was a 3rd or 4th round draft pick. You know, they got Mohamed Sanu, got him in round 2 or 3 or something like that. I mean, take it back to Jerome Simpson, the man with the front foot for the touchdown against the Arizona Cardinals. He was a 2nd round draft pick. Tyler Boyd now, 2nd round draft pick. Andy Dalton, 2nd round draft pick. So watch what happens in rounds 2 through 5 with the Bengals. If we can get those draft picks to become more than serviceable, we'll be off to a really good team in the next couple of years. And that's what has to happen with the Bengals because, as we just discussed, the Bengals aren't going to fill in the holes that they miss through trades or free agency. And usually when they do get a free agent, it'll kind of be somebody they get on a budget deal, somebody who may be a year or 2 away from their prime. So definitely check that out. But all told, I'm excited about next year as a Bengals fan. I'm not thinking playoffs. I'm not thinking automatically 9-7, 10-6, wild card or anything like that. It would definitely be nice. But I'll take 6-10 next year. If that 6-10 comes with Joe Burrow being one of the best rookies and that offensive line is looking a lot better, you know, you're feeding Joe Mixon the ball. And the one thing that's going to really be important, I think people are kind of overlooking this a little bit, what happens with A.J. Green. Because what happens with A.J. Green is going to tell us a whole lot more about where they go with the draft, even more than if they let Andy Dalton go. I mean, you keep Andy Dalton, you let him go, you're still getting Joe Burrow. But if you let A.J. Green go, or if you know you're going to give him that franchise tag, you're saying a lot about what you're going to do with the wide receiver room in the next couple of years. You can't put A.J. Green on the franchise tag and then not draft a wide receiver in the first 3 rounds. That's just not smart. I mean, just thinking realistically, if you franchise tag A.J. Green, you have to go out and get a wide receiver one of those first 3 picks, and it can't be the first pick. So that means one of those next 2 picks in the 2nd or 3rd round has to go to a wide receiver. Now, if you don't put A.J. Green on a franchise tag, if you decide to go ahead and extend him, then it gets a little tricky. Because if you do pick another wide receiver, then what you're really saying is we got to hedge our bets just in case A.J. Green doesn't stay as healthy as we want him to. So definitely watch out what happens with that A.J. Green thing, because that's going to be key for what happens with the Bengals as far as their draft. So definitely check it out, and probably not going to do a mock draft because, I mean, I'm a fan, but the mock draft, it's always just been kind of weird to me. Like, the draft is going to hinge upon a whole lot of different people picking a whole lot of different ways. So I'm not going to get a mock draft correct. It's just not going to happen. But what I will do is go ahead and send out 3 or 4 people that the Bengals should have their eye on to pick up in the first 3 rounds. So that's something I'll definitely go ahead and put out there in the next couple of weeks or so. So be on the lookout for that. When we come back, we're going to talk about why this was a big day for the Bearcats and the Muskies. Why it was a really big day. So check us out. We'll be right back. Here's Cincinnati Fan Talk. Yeah, and we're back here at Cincinnati Fan Talk. This is LP here riding with you on a Saturday night, checking out a lot of college basketball. This is normally the time of year when I start picking up on my college basketball. I watch it a little bit in November. I watch it a little bit in December. I usually check out a little bit more in January. But February is when it starts ratcheting up for me a whole lot more. In November and December, it's really hard to tell who these teams are. I laugh in my head a lot about people getting super hyped up about, what's a quote-unquote big win in November. And then you look up in March, and that big win you had in November, it just looked like, just another so-so win. And those wins that you really didn't think were big in December, all of a sudden it's like, hey, you beat so-and-so. That was a big win. But you really didn't know it was a big win when it happened in December. So I usually take November and December with a grain of salt. Looking at UC and Xavier, from what I saw today, I'm definitely taking November and December as a grain of salt because those two teams look completely different to me from when they did in November, December. Xavier started off on a roll, and then they really cooled off. The Big East to do that to you. And I said that on here on the podcast before. Like, I was more concerned about Xavier than I was with UC because Xavier's conference is a monster. I mean, you got DePaul, who's like the worst team in the conference, quote unquote. They notched big wins over the course of their non-conference. And that's supposed to be the easiest win. St. John's did their thing out of conference. Providence didn't really look good out of conference, but they're looking good in conference now. So it's hard to find wins in the Big East. Turn around today, Xavier knocked off Seton Hall in New Jersey and did it comfortably too. I mean, it wasn't really in doubt for the whole thing. Like, Xavier really did what they're supposed to do. I mean, they looked like what they were supposed to look like at the beginning of the year. They looked like a top 3 team in the Big East. Najee Marshall's playing better. The Kiki Tandy guy, definitely look out for him. He's going to be a monster. And Zach Freeman, I really wasn't sold on him at first. I mean, I thought he was a little bit out of his weight range. And I thought he was kind of punching out of his league when he first got here. But he's going to be a stud. He's going to be really good, by the time he hits, like, in the sophomore, junior year. He's going to be really good. What I liked about what I saw from Xavier was the fact that they could have laid down at any point in this game after what happened against Marquette earlier this week. I mean, they had Marquette dead to rights. Marcus Howard wasn't in the game. And that game should have been over. But Xavier started missing free throws, making crazy decisions with the ball, and they let Marquette win that game in double overtime. I mean, it was hard to watch for me. It was hard to watch them basically give that game away. So I'm looking at them playing Seton Hall, and I'm like, they completely forgot about that game. And I feel like Travis Steele does a really good job with his team once they hit a certain point. It's kind of like he has to feel out what the team is kind of on the fly. I know that sounds kind of weird, but like that's what it looks like. He's kind of feeling out his team on the fly. And then once they hit February, they just perk up. Last year, Xavier went on like a 6 or 7 game winning streak. throughout like the toughest part of their schedule last year. And I feel like they're about to go ahead and break through and do the same thing this year, because if you're looking at them, it's like they're starting to click. You would have thought they would have clicked earlier in the year, but I mean, you're talking about 18 to 22-year-olds playing other 18 to 22-year-olds in basketball. So you never really know what's going to happen. I mean, a lot of people feel like they think they know, but I mean, it's basketball. Like, you got to put the ball in the hole. So sometimes it's a little more difficult to do that than people give you credit for. Xavier's starting to click, and you can kind of tell by the way that they're interacting with each other on the court that things are starting to get a lot better. Now with UC, they also picked up a big win. I was less concerned about UC at first because I felt like they played in a weaker conference, but I'm starting to change my theory about how weak the American is, because you got some solid teams. Like, I'm watching SMU, and SMU, they're a solid team. Wichita State can play. Tulsa is blowing my mind right now with how well they're playing. Houston's a good team. Memphis is a good team. So it's hard to pick up easy wins in the American. I mean, Tulane should have been an easy win. I mean, but what are you going to do? I mean, every now and again, you kind of take those lumps. But with UC, it was kind of like, and this is also weird to say, with Cumberland, you know, Jaron Cumberland on the team, you would think that they would know where their production is going to come from. But I felt like they spent a large time of the season trying to figure out where their production was going to come from. It felt like Cumberland didn't really know the offense. So he was trying to get other people involved more so than, like, you know, just putting the ball up and going with it. And you can kind of see them getting it together. They outscored Houston in this game tonight by 14 points in the final 9 minutes. I turned on the game late, so when I turned on the game, it was 57-45 with about 10 minutes left. From that point, Houston scored exactly 4 points. The thing I'm most concerned about with UC, and this doesn't sound weird because if you've been watching the American Conference, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The referees are just god-awful in the American Conference. Now, I preface this by saying I know plenty of referees personally. High school, college, major college referees. And I understand what they go through on a regular basis. For me, having to find refs for the basketball leagues that I run, it's tough to find. Well, I wouldn't say it's tough to find solid referees, but it's tough to find referees that don't want to be like a major part of the game. I've been blessed to like have referees, you know, work in my leagues and stuff like that, that just want to call the game. They don't want to make themselves like, you know, a major part of the game. If they see a foul, they call a foul. They don't want to get disrespected by coaches or players, so they don't disrespect coaches or players. And more than anything else, they call the game consistently. A foul in the first quarter is going to be a foul in the third quarter. If they're calling rough play from the beginning, they're going to keep calling rough play. And they're not going to see if the ball goes in the hoop before they call a foul. I've seen all of these things happen in American play. And for UC and Xavier, I don't just watch those teams, but I don't watch like UC and Xavier games. I'll watch the other teams in the conference play just to kind of see how those teams play. And I'm starting to notice the referees more and more. This cannot be a good thing. During the UC game against Houston, they called biting against the Houston point guard. I looked at this at least 5 or 6 times. Kind of sort of questionable. I mean, it looked like he bit him. It's hard to tell if he did it on purpose. I mean, the guy's falling down. Like, on his way down, I just don't see anybody going like, oh, there goes the calf. I mean, I don't get that. 2 minutes later, somebody on the Houston team, I think it was their power forward, comes down and starts swinging his elbows. and a elbow almost runs, or I believe it ran right into the back of a UC head. Either way, he's swinging elbows recklessly. They call a foul. They didn't even go ahead and review to see if he threw his elbows. Meanwhile, on the biting play, nobody even saw the bite at first. We were sitting here wondering, like, are they going to try to say that this is a foul against UC? Will this not be a jump ball? It was just odd. Like, why would you not even review that when you can see the elbows being swung? And it's just the inconsistency that's happened all year in the American Conference. I guess you can say the American Conference is consistent in its inconsistencies. I mean, I guess you could say that. It's been everywhere in college basketball, but it's more so in the American Conference. And it worries me for UC because when you look at all the teams in the American, UC is the team that seems to be most affected by foul calls, positive or negative. The free throw shooting isn't really that good. And on top of that, the depth isn't really near to where it needs to be in February. So if they fall victim to inconsistent foul calling or text that shouldn't be text or something like that, we saw how this affected them against Memphis. Like, we saw that happen. We saw the inconsistent foul calls and how it kind of butchered that game. So it really worries me for them when they get into, like, the conference tournament. Hopefully they won't need the conference tournament to get in, but from the way it's setting up, because of those earlier losses to, like, Bowling Green and Colgate, I still can't believe they lost that game to Colgate. So because of those games, the conference tournament might set up to where they need, like, a couple of wins. Hopefully these refs don't mess UC up. I'm not really a guy that likes to complain about the referees. It's just been crazy this year when you look at the stuff. So that's kind of how I feel about UC and Xavier. I feel like both of them have a solid shot to get in the tournament this year. I feel like UC more than X because of what we talked about before. There's just no rest for X. Every night there's a chance for a quality win. There's also a chance for a 3 or 4 game losing streak. That's going to happen with every team in X's conference. Today, I think it was definitely 3 teams on the road that were ranked lost. Well, 3 teams that were at home playing against unranked teams lost. Not UC, sorry about that. But Seton Hall lost, Villanova lost, and Butler lost at home to unranked teams. And that, in a nutshell, is going to be the Big East Conference. This conference tournament is going to be wild. I definitely can't wait to see this. So let me know your thoughts. Do you think X and UC are going to be in? Do you think one or the other are going to be in? Or do you think we're looking at 2 NIT teams? Me personally, I feel like UC is going to get one of the last 4 bids, and they'll be playing probably on Tuesday or Wednesday. And I think X might miss it by just this much. I feel like they might be one of the last 4 teams out. So I would like to see both of them in. Let me know what you think about that. Go ahead and hit the voice message link on the Twitter feed and let me know what you think. We'll be right back for one quick segment. Who I think is going to win the Super Bowl and why. Newsflash, we can't pick a team if you're in Cincinnati. So hit you guys right back. This is Cincinnati Fan Talk. Welcome back to Cincinnati Fan Talk. This is LP. About to go ahead and sign out for the night, but before I go, I want to go ahead and let you know what I think is going to happen in the Super Bowl. This should be a pretty good game. I've been unlucky enough to sit through about, 15 or 20 Super Bowls that were absolute blowouts. I went through my childhood just basically waiting for the commercials in Super Bowls because we knew it was going to be a blowout. We saw blowouts for a very long time, year after year after year in the Super Bowl. Always been a Cincinnati fan, but for a long time, I was a big Buffalo Bills fan. Because I'm like, if the Bengals aren't in the playoffs, might as well root for the Buffalo Bills. And and I don't want to talk about it. I just put it like this. I had a lot of hope. That hope never really came through. So it was always just blowout after blowout after blowout watching the Super Bowl. Lately, the Super Bowl games have been extremely good. I think this Super Bowl will be a great game. I feel like the 49ers are going to pull this out by the score of 24-21, but I'm not picking the San Francisco 49ers. My theory is simple. If you call yourself a Cincinnati fan, there is no way in hell that you are picking the San Francisco 49ers to win a Super Bowl. Ever. So I'll stand in that. That's a hill I'll definitely die on. Shout out to Boomer Esiason. Shout out to Tim Crumry. Shout out to Stanford Jennings. Shout out to Eddie Brown. Shout out to Iggy Wood. Shout out to James Brown. My fault. Shout out to James Brooks. Sorry about that. Hey, shout out to all of those 88, 89 Bengals. Kansas City 28. San Francisco 24. That's where I'm going with it. It's not like I'm hoping for San Francisco to lose. I mean, I feel like that they're a really good team. I like the way that they're built. I really do. I like how they came from where they were in 2015, 2016, and I like what they did in the draft. But I can't call myself a Bengals fan and listen to myself pulling for the San Francisco 49ers. So it's not like I hate the 49ers because I don't. I just still haven't let it go. The day I let it go will probably be never or until the Bengals win a Super Bowl. Whichever one. You know what? As a matter of fact, if the Bengals win a Super Bowl, that's the day I'll let it go. You heard it here first. When the Bengals win a Super Bowl, I will let my I can't root for the 49ers thing go. But until then, let's see what the Chiefs do. I feel like it's going to be a good game. I also feel like Patrick Mahomes probably will not have a good game. I feel like he'll have a good game by normal quarterback standards. But I feel like he's not going to go off like he normally does. I feel like this is going to be on Kansas City's defense. Kansas City's defense has to find a way to stop the 49ers run game. If they can't stop their running game, Mahomes will not see the ball, and the 49ers will probably win. So that's kind of where I'm coming from on that. I'll be on the Twitter feed during the Super Bowl talking about the best commercials, talking about the game. If you're on there with me, go ahead and live tweet with me. We can go ahead and party up. So we're going to go ahead and sign off. I'm going to try to keep a more consistent schedule. I'm thinking more Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, or maybe more Monday, Thursday, and Saturday. Probably Monday, Thursday, and Saturday. Going to try to get that schedule more consistent. So look out for me on Mondays, on Thursdays, and on Saturdays. And we'll be right here chopping it up, talking about Cincinnati sports. Thanks again for the support. Catch me on the socials. That's Cincy_fan talk on Twitter. Go ahead and drop that voice message, and I'll be happy to hear from you guys. Cincinnati Fan Talk, LP. Catch you guys later. If you're not ready for the conversation to end, I'm not either. Make sure to catch me on Twitter. That's the Cincy Fan Talking. Leave off the G at the end of it, and we can keep the conversation going. Also, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button so you can catch the next episodes. The episodes will drop every Tuesday. If there's a change in that, I'll make sure to let you know. Appreciate the support. As always, life is good.